Compassion is often seen as a quality directed toward others. But true compassion begins within. Self-compassion is about accepting oneself with kindness. An act that is particularly challenging in a world that prizes perfectionism and often encourages self-criticism. True personal growth is deeply tied to self-compassion, as it enables individuals to navigate failures and insecurities without harsh judgment, instead of focusing on weaknesses. Self-compassion teaches us to see flaws and mistakes as parts of the human experience, viewing them as opportunities for learning and improvement. Self-compassion is transformative because it requires a shift from self-judgment to self-acceptance. In a culture where individuals are often their own worst critics, learning to approach oneself with kindness and understanding can be life-changing. By replacing self-criticism with gentle support, we create an environment where personal growth thrives, and where mistakes become a springboard for resilience rather than a source of shame. Practical steps for developing self-compassion. Mindful reflection. One of the most effective ways to cultivate self-compassion is to dedicate time daily to mindful reflection. This practice involves setting aside a few quiet moments to observe self-critical thoughts without judgment. For instance, after a challenging day, take a few deep breaths and reflect on any negative self-talk that might have arisen. Rather than pushing away these thoughts, acknowledge them with acceptance and try to reframe them with kindness. Think about what you would say to a friend in a similar situation, and offer those same words to yourself. Forgiveness practice. Many people carry guilt or resentment toward themselves for past mistakes. Practicing forgiveness toward oneself is essential for developing compassion. This can be done by acknowledging regrets, forgiving oneself, and viewing these experiences as growth opportunities. A useful exercise is writing a forgiveness letter to oneself, acknowledging mistakes, expressing understanding, and recognizing the desire to grow. This act of self-forgiveness releases emotional burdens and opens the door to self-acceptance. Body compassion. Body image is a common area where people struggle with self-compassion. In a society that emphasizes physical ideals, many people find it difficult to appreciate their own bodies without judgment. Practicing body compassion means acknowledging and appreciating the body's resilience and uniqueness, irrespective of societal standards. By treating the body with kindness and focusing on its strengths, we develop a healthier, more compassionate relationship with ourselves. Examples of self-compassion in public figures. Oprah Winfrey, one of the world's most influential media personalities, has openly discussed her journey with self-compassion. She has faced numerous personal challenges, from childhood trauma to public scrutiny. Yet she has used self-compassion as a tool for resilience. Winfrey often talks about the importance of self-acceptance and has cultivated an approach that allows her to grow from her past rather than be defined by it. Through self-compassion, she has transformed her life into one of purpose, showing that kindness toward oneself can pave the way for an impactful existence. Michelle Obama, the former First Lady of the United States, also embodies self-compassion. She has spoken about the pressures of living in the public eye and the importance of forgiving herself for imperfections. Despite the intense expectations placed on her, she learned to approach herself with kindness, understanding that self-compassion strengthens her resolve to pursue her goals. Both Winfrey and Obama exemplify how self-compassion fosters resilience and enables individuals to navigate life's challenges with grace. The role of self-compassion in personal growth. Self-compassion is not about ignoring areas for improvement, it's about accepting them without harsh judgment. This acceptance creates a foundation for growth, as it encourages individuals to strive for betterment without the fear of failure. Self-compassionate people are often more motivated to improve because they approach challenges with a mindset focused on growth rather than avoidance. For example, self-compassion can improve resilience by allowing people to recover from setbacks more quickly. When someone treats themselves with kindness, they are less likely to dwell on failures and more likely to view them as learning experiences. This approach creates a positive feedback loop. The more one practices self-compassion, the more confident they become in their ability to handle future challenges, leading to continuous growth. Self-compassion also cultivates mental well-being. Studies have shown that self-compassion reduces symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress, creating a mental environment that supports overall happiness and fulfillment. When people are kind to themselves, they experience less emotional turmoil, allowing them to lead more balanced, fulfilling lives. Body compassion and societal standards. One of the most significant challenges to self-compassion is body image. In a society that constantly promotes physical ideals, developing body compassion is crucial. Body compassion involves appreciating one's body for its functionality and resilience rather than focusing solely on appearance. This perspective shift is particularly empowering because it challenges societal pressures and fosters a deeper sense of self-worth. Lady Gaga, the pop icon and advocate for mental health, has been vocal about her journey with body image and self-acceptance. She has spoken openly about her struggles with physical insecurities and how practicing body compassion has allowed her to embrace herself fully. By promoting messages of self-love and body positivity, Lady Gaga encourages her audience to value themselves beyond societal beauty standards. Her journey shows that compassion for one's body can be liberating, fostering self-confidence and resilience. Cultivating compassion in daily life. Developing self-compassion is an ongoing process that requires intentional practice. Here are a few additional practices that can help cultivate compassion in daily life. Journaling, writing down thoughts and feelings helps process emotions without judgment. Regular journaling can reveal patterns of self-criticism and serve as a reminder to practice self-kindness. Gratitude practice, expressing gratitude toward oneself and others enhances feelings of compassion. By acknowledging personal achievements and qualities, people develop a positive self-image. Affirmations, positive affirmations such as I am enough or I am worthy of love and kindness can reinforce self-compassion. Repeating affirmations creates mental pathways that support compassionate self-talk. Compassion beyond the self, building empathy and connection. While self-compassion is foundational, extending compassion to others deepens its impact. Compassion for others involves empathy, patience, and the ability to offer support without judgment. Cultivating compassion for others builds stronger relationships, fosters mutual respect, and contributes to a sense of interconnectedness. Example of compassion in leadership: Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, is a well-known advocate of compassionate leadership. Nadella transformed Microsoft's culture by emphasizing empathy and support over rigid performance metrics. Under his leadership, Microsoft shifted from a competitive, high-stress environment to one that values employee well-being and collaboration. Nadella's approach demonstrates that compassion in leadership not only improves workplace morale but also enhances productivity and innovation. Compassion in times of social injustice. Compassion is essential in addressing social injustices. Compassion-driven social change goes beyond sympathy. It actively seeks to understand and alleviate the suffering of marginalized communities. By empathizing with those who face discrimination, individuals are motivated to create equitable, inclusive environments. Example: Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. exemplified compassion in social activism. He led the civil rights movement with a message of love and understanding, advocating for peaceful resistance. King's compassion extended to those who opposed him, as he believed that empathy could transform even the most hardened hearts. His compassionate approach united people across racial lines, demonstrating that compassion can be a powerful tool for systemic change. Compassion as a tool for mental health. Compassion is increasingly recognized as a vital component of mental health. Self-compassion, in particular, can reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety by decreasing self-criticism. For individuals who struggle with mental health issues, Compassion creates a safe space to process emotions and reduces the fear of judgment. Example, Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation. Lady Gaga co-founded the Born This Way Foundation to promote mental health, kindness, and compassion. Through her foundation, she encourages young people to embrace themselves and to practice compassion, both for themselves and others. Gaga's foundation emphasizes that compassion can be a healing force, allowing people to confront their struggles with self-acceptance and resilience. The science of compassion. Research shows that compassion positively affects the brain. Studies indicate that practicing compassion activates the brain's reward centers, which are associated with pleasure and satisfaction. Compassion meditation has been shown to reduce stress and increase feelings of connection. Brain regions involved in compassion. Prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making. The prefrontal cortex is activated when individuals practice compassion, enabling thoughtful responses. Insula, this region, associated with emotional awareness, becomes more active during compassion practices, enhancing empathy. Ventromedial prefrontal cortex, this area of the brain is tied to feelings of reward and reinforcement, creating a positive feedback loop for compassionate behaviors. The neuroscientific evidence for compassion suggests that it is not only beneficial for others but also for personal mental and physical well-being. By strengthening the brain's capacity for empathy and reducing stress, compassion enhances overall life satisfaction. Compassion as a pathway to purpose. Compassion provides a sense of purpose. For many, the act of helping others creates fulfillment that transcends material success. Compassion-driven purpose encourages individuals to focus on making a positive impact, fostering a life of meaning. Example, Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa's life was defined by compassion. She dedicated her life to serving the poor and the sick, seeing every act of kindness as a form of love. Mother Teresa's compassion gave her life purpose and inspired countless others to pursue meaningful work. Her legacy demonstrates that a compassionate life is one of profound purpose and impact. Conclusion: compassion as a way of being. Compassion is a transformative force that shapes our interactions, our leadership, our activism, and our mental health. Practicing compassion allows us to connect deeply with others, navigate challenges with resilience, and pursue lives filled with meaning. From self-compassion to collective compassion, it offers a pathway to a life of fulfillment, growth, and peace. Compassion is not merely a feeling but a way of being that, when practiced consistently, can create a world that values empathy, understanding, and kindness above all else. Compassion in relationships, building deeper connections. Compassion in relationships means fostering an environment where others feel seen, valued, and accepted without judgment. It's about making a conscious effort to understand and empathize, seeing things from another's perspective, and offering genuine support rather than imposing personal expectations. Compassionate relationships are rooted in mutual respect, openness, and a willingness to nurture each other's growth and well-being. Building compassionate connections in relationships has a transformative impact, allowing people to grow together and navigate life's challenges with shared strength and understanding. Compassion doesn't mean avoiding conflict or always agreeing with each other, rather, it means being present with an open heart and offering empathy, even in times of disagreement or hardship. Practicing compassion within relationships fosters a stronger, more resilient bond. Example, Barack and Michelle Obama's relationship. One of the most well-known examples of compassion in relationships is the partnership between Barack and Michelle Obama. As a former U.S. President and First Lady, they are public figures who have faced numerous challenges, both personally and professionally. Despite their high-profile life, they have consistently shown a deep commitment to each other's well-being, personal growth, and happiness. Barack and Michelle Obama have been open about the pressures and struggles they faced during their time in the White House. Balancing the demands of public service, raising 2 daughters, and maintaining a marriage in the public eye required resilience and empathy. Barack Obama once stated that he and Michelle strive to understand each other's perspectives and support each other's aspirations, rather than expecting the other to fulfill a predefined role. They have both allowed space for individual growth while building a solid foundation as a couple. Their compassionate approach to their relationship not only strengthens their marriage but also sets an example for others about the power of empathy, understanding, and mutual respect. For instance, Michelle often speaks about how Barack supported her dreams and passions, even as he pursued a demanding political career. In her memoir, Becoming, Michelle shares that when Barack was preparing to run for the U.S. Senate, she was initially hesitant. Rather than dismissing her concerns, Barack listened with compassion and offered his support for whatever decision she felt comfortable with. This openness created a safe space for Michelle to voice her thoughts without fear of judgment. Their relationship is a powerful example of compassion, as it shows how empathy, open communication, and mutual respect can lead to a deeper, more meaningful connection. ### techniques for practicing compassion in relationships. While the example of the Obamas may seem extraordinary due to their public life, the principles they embody can be applied to any relationship. Practicing compassion in everyday interactions with family members, friends, or romantic partners can enhance understanding and strengthen bonds. Here are some effective techniques for cultivating compassion in relationships. 1. Active listening. Active listening is a cornerstone of compassionate relationships. It means giving someone your undivided attention when they speak, setting aside distractions, and truly hearing their words and emotions, rather than preparing a response or letting your mind wander. Focus on understanding their feelings and perspectives. Active listening shows empathy by acknowledging their emotions, validating their experiences, and responding thoughtfully. Example, when a friend or partner shares a problem, resist the urge to offer immediate advice. Instead, listen to their words, watch their body language, and respond with phrases like, "I understand that this is hard for you," or "that sounds really difficult." This approach not only makes them feel heard but also deepens trust and connection. 2. Non-judgmental presence. Creating a non-judgmental space means offering acceptance and kindness without needing to fully understand or agree with the other person's perspective. People are more likely to open up and share their authentic selves when they feel that they won't be judged or criticized. This practice can transform relationships, as it allows individuals to feel safe and supported. Example, imagine a situation where your partner is stressed about work and venting frustrations. Instead of judging them or offering solutions, try to be present and supportive. Say, "I'm here for you," and let them express themselves without fear of judgment. This compassionate presence creates a sense of emotional safety, allowing them to process their feelings. 3. Shared gratitude. Expressing gratitude together helps partners, friends, and family members cultivate a sense of appreciation for each other. A regular practice of shared gratitude reinforces the value of the relationship, deepening connection and trust. It also serves as a reminder of each person's positive impact on the other's life, creating a foundation of goodwill and resilience. Example, set aside time to express gratitude together, such as during dinner or before bed. You might take turns sharing one thing you appreciated about the other person that day, or reflect on a positive experience you shared. This simple practice fosters a deeper emotional bond and helps shift the focus toward positive interactions, making the relationship more harmonious and fulfilling. 4. Empathy building exercises. Building empathy involves intentionally putting yourself in the other person's shoes and trying to understand their perspective and emotions. When practiced regularly, Empathy becomes a natural response, helping you navigate challenging situations with patience and kindness. Example, if you and a friend or partner have different opinions on a particular issue, try to understand where they are coming from by asking yourself questions like, what might they be feeling, or why do they see it this way? By shifting your focus to their perspective, you create an empathetic response that can bridge differences and reduce misunderstandings. 5. Offering unconditional support. Compassionate relationships are marked by the willingness to support each other without strings attached. This means showing up for your partner or friend, regardless of their current circumstances, without expecting anything in return. Unconditional support fosters trust, as it shows the other person that you are there for them no matter what. Example, suppose a close friend is going through a difficult time, such as a job loss or personal struggle. Rather than offering advice or solutions, simply be there to offer a comforting presence. Say, I'm here for you, no matter what you need, and let them know they have your unwavering support. 6. Practicing patience and forgiveness. No one is perfect, and misunderstandings are inevitable in any relationship. Practicing patience and forgiveness allows you to let go of grudges and create space for growth and healing. Compassionate relationships acknowledge mistakes, forgive imperfections, and prioritize the connection over being right. Example, if a friend or partner unintentionally hurts your feelings, approach the situation with compassion, instead of holding on to resentment. Try to understand their intentions and let go of any lingering anger. By choosing forgiveness, you strengthen the bond and demonstrate the value of the relationship over minor conflicts. 7. Encouraging each other's personal growth. Compassionate relationships involve supporting each other's growth and self-improvement without imposing expectations. This means recognizing that each person has unique dreams and aspirations and offering encouragement rather than control. Example, in a marriage or long-term partnership, support each other's personal and professional goals without pressuring them to meet your own expectations. If your partner wants to pursue a new hobby, career, or interest, show interest and encourage their growth. This support fosters a relationship where both individuals feel valued and respected as unique individuals. How compassion transforms relationships. Practicing compassion in relationships leads to numerous positive outcomes. Compassion allows people to feel safe, respected, and valued, creating an atmosphere where both individuals can thrive. Compassionate relationships are more resilient because they are built on mutual understanding and the ability to navigate differences gracefully. By fostering empathy, active listening, and non-judgmental presence, compassionate relationships withstand challenges, even when conflicts arise. Moreover, compassion deepens intimacy and trust. When people know they are loved and accepted for who they are, they feel secure in expressing their true selves. This openness and authenticity strengthen emotional bonds, fostering a deeper connection. For example, research in psychology has shown that couples who practice compassion and empathy in their interactions tend to have higher relationship satisfaction and longevity. Compassion also transforms relationships by fostering emotional growth. In an environment of compassion, individuals feel empowered to confront insecurities, pursue self-improvement, and heal from past wounds. This growth benefits both individuals, as each person becomes a better version of themselves, positively impacting the relationship. Famous examples of compassion in relationships. While the Obamas are a high-profile example of compassion in marriage, there are many other public figures who exemplify compassion in relationships. David and Victoria Beckham, known for their long-standing marriage and mutual respect. David and Victoria Beckham have faced various challenges in the public eye. They frequently speak about supporting each other's careers and balancing family life. David has often spoken about the sacrifices Victoria made for their family, while Victoria has praised David's commitment to their children. Their relationship is a testament to the power of compassion in enduring love and partnership. Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi. Ellen and Portia have been open about the importance of compassion and acceptance in their marriage. They support each other's careers, dreams, and personal growth, prioritizing kindness and empathy in their relationship. Ellen's sense of humor and Portia's calm demeanor balance each other, creating a compassionate space for their partnership. Compassion as the foundation of lasting relationships. Compassion is not just an ideal but the foundation of any lasting and fulfilling relationship. It allows individuals to approach each other with openness, acceptance, and love. Compassion nurtures understanding, even when conflicts arise, and builds resilience by encouraging forgiveness and empathy. Practicing compassion in relationships not only enhances personal well-being but also contributes to a more peaceful, connected world. As individuals apply compassion techniques like active listening, shared gratitude, and non-judgmental support, they create relationships that are strong, nurturing, and fulfilling. Compassion enables people to see beyond their differences, focusing on shared humanity and genuine love. In a world that often emphasizes individualism, cultivating compassion in relationships is a powerful way to build deeper connections, creating bonds that are both resilient and profoundly meaningful. Compassionate leadership, redefining power and authority. Compassionate leadership is a transformative approach that redefines traditional power dynamics by centering on empathy, respect, and genuine care for the well-being of others. Unlike conventional models of leadership that often emphasize authority, control, and results at any cost, compassionate leadership recognizes that the true strength of an organization lies in its people. By prioritizing employees' emotional and psychological health, compassionate leaders create environments where individuals feel valued, supported, and empowered to contribute their best. This approach inspires loyalty, fosters creativity, and builds resilience within teams, ultimately leading to sustained success and a positive organizational culture. Compassionate leadership does not mean sacrificing standards or ignoring accountability. Instead, it reframes leadership as a responsibility to uplift and develop those under one's charge. Compassionate leaders set high expectations but balance them with understanding and support, creating a workplace culture that encourages growth, adaptability, and respect. In a world where workplace stress and burnout are increasingly common, compassionate leadership stands out as a model that emphasizes human connection, making it a powerful tool for building both successful teams and fulfilling work environments. Example of compassionate leadership, Jacinda Ardern. One of the most notable examples of compassionate leadership on the world stage is Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand. Ardern's leadership style has garnered widespread praise, especially for her empathetic response during critical moments, such as the Christchurch mosque shootings in 2019 and the COVID-19 pandemic. In each instance, Ardern demonstrated the power of compassionate leadership by addressing the emotional needs of her people and fostering a sense of unity in times of crisis. Following the tragic Christchurch shootings, which targeted the Muslim community, Ardern exemplified compassion by immediately reaching out to the victims' families and the affected community. Her actions went beyond mere political gestures. She actively showed empathy by wearing a hijab to pay respect, openly grieving alongside the nation, and refusing to speak the attacker's name to avoid giving him notoriety. By expressing her compassion so openly, Ardern strengthened her credibility and demonstrated her commitment to all New Zealanders, regardless of their background. Her empathetic response helped heal a grieving nation and promoted a message of inclusivity and solidarity. Similarly, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Ardern's compassionate leadership was evident as she regularly addressed the nation with transparency and empathy, Her messages focus on the collective responsibility to protect one another, particularly the most vulnerable. Ardern's tone was calm, her instructions clear, and her empathy palpable as she acknowledged the sacrifices New Zealanders were making. This compassionate approach did not weaken her authority; instead, it strengthened the public's trust and willingness to follow her guidance, showcasing the profound impact of empathetic and transparent leadership. Ardern's leadership style shows that compassion is not a weakness but a strength that enhances credibility and authority. By prioritizing the well-being of her people, she was able to foster resilience and unity, demonstrating that compassionate leadership can inspire loyalty and collaboration even in the most challenging circumstances. How to cultivate compassionate leadership. While leaders like Jacinda Ardern may serve as inspirational figures, compassionate leadership is not limited to political leaders or public figures. Any leader, whether in a corporate, nonprofit, or community setting, can cultivate compassion as a fundamental part of their approach. Here are several actionable strategies to integrate compassion into leadership practices. 1. Lead by example. Compassionate leaders understand that actions speak louder than words. By modeling empathy, kindness, and respect in their interactions, they set a powerful example for their team members to follow. When leaders consistently demonstrate these values, they encourage a culture of compassion within the organization. Employees are more likely to feel comfortable expressing empathy toward their peers and to trust that their leaders genuinely care about their well-being. Example: Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, is known for leading by example and fostering a compassionate workplace culture. When Nadella became CEO, he shifted Microsoft's competitive, performance-focused culture toward one of collaboration and empathy. He frequently speaks about the importance of a growth mindset and encourages employees to support one another's learning and development. By promoting empathy and openness, Nadella exemplifies compassionate leadership, which has significantly contributed to Microsoft's success and reputation as a people-centered organization. 2. Open communication. Establishing open lines of communication is essential for compassionate leadership. Leaders should make time to listen to their team members' concerns and show genuine interest in their well-being. Open communication builds trust and allows leaders to understand the challenges their team members are facing, both professionally and personally. This understanding enables leaders to provide the necessary support and accommodations, fostering a more resilient and engaged workforce. Example: Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, is known for his emphasis on open communication within the company. Cook regularly holds all-hands meetings and encourages employees to ask questions and voice their concerns. By creating an environment where employees feel comfortable speaking up, Cook demonstrates that he values their input and well-being. His openness contributes to a strong, supportive culture at Apple, where employees feel heard and respected. 3. Emphasize growth and development. Compassionate leaders invest in the growth and development of their team members. They understand that personal and professional growth is essential for long-term success and job satisfaction. By providing mentorship, encouraging skill development, and recognizing achievements, leaders create an environment where people feel motivated to reach their potential. Compassionate leaders view their role as facilitators of growth, helping team members build confidence and competence. Example: Indra Nooyi, former CEO of PepsiCo, exemplified a commitment to her employees' growth. Nooyi invested in leadership development programs and encouraged employees to pursue continuous learning. She believed that by empowering her team members with skills and opportunities, they would contribute more effectively to the company's success. Nooyi's focus on development helped foster a loyal and motivated workforce, demonstrating that compassionate leadership and investment in people go hand in hand. 4. Show empathy during difficult times. A hallmark of compassionate leadership is the ability to empathize with employees during challenging periods. Compassionate leaders recognize that employees may face personal hardships or workplace stress, and they respond with understanding and flexibility. Whether it's offering additional support, providing mental health resources, or simply acknowledging the struggles employees are facing, empathy goes a long way in building trust and loyalty. Example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many companies had to make difficult decisions regarding layoffs and restructuring. Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce, showed empathy by implementing a no-layoff policy for 90 days to provide employees with security during uncertain times. Benioff also prioritized mental health support and offered resources for remote work challenges. His compassionate response helped Salesforce maintain employee morale and loyalty, showcasing the power of empathy during crisis situations. 5. Promote a culture of inclusion and diversity. Compassionate leaders actively promote a culture of inclusion and respect for diversity. They understand that people come from different backgrounds and experiences, and they work to create an environment where everyone feels valued and respected. By embracing diversity and fostering an inclusive culture, compassionate leaders demonstrate their commitment to fairness and empathy, which in turn strengthens team cohesion and creativity. Example, Howard Schultz, former CEO of Starbucks, was a strong advocate for diversity and inclusion. Schultz introduced initiatives to increase workforce diversity, create safe spaces for dialogue on social issues, and provide opportunities for underrepresented groups. His focus on inclusion exemplified compassionate leadership, as he recognized the importance of a workplace that respects and celebrates individual differences. 6. Encourage work-life balance. Compassionate leaders recognize that employees have lives outside of work and that maintaining a healthy work-life balance is crucial for their well-being. By respecting employees' personal time and encouraging a balanced approach to work, compassionate leaders help prevent burnout and promote a healthier, more sustainable work environment. Example, Arianna Huffington, founder of Thrive Global, has long advocated for work-life balance and well-being in the workplace. After experiencing burnout herself, Huffington dedicated her career to helping companies create healthier work cultures. Through her leadership at Thrive Global, she promotes practices that prioritize sleep, mental health, and self-care, encouraging leaders and employees alike to embrace a balanced approach to work and life. 7. Recognize and appreciate contributions. A simple yet powerful practice of compassionate leadership is recognizing and appreciating employees' contributions. Acknowledgement and gratitude boost morale and create a sense of value and belonging within the organization. Compassionate leaders understand that appreciation motivates employees and fosters a positive workplace culture. Example, Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group, is known for publicly recognizing and appreciating his employees' efforts. Branson believes that employees are the foundation of a company's success and makes it a point to celebrate their achievements. By showing gratitude and appreciation, Branson strengthens employee loyalty and creates a workplace where people feel valued and motivated. The benefits of compassionate leadership. Practicing compassionate leadership offers numerous benefits for both leaders and their teams. Compassionate leaders build stronger relationships with employees, resulting in higher levels of trust, loyalty, and collaboration. Employees who feel valued and supported are more likely to be engaged, productive, and committed to their work. This not only enhances job satisfaction but also reduces turnover, saving organizations time and resources associated with hiring and training new employees. Compassionate leadership also fosters innovation. When employees feel safe and respected, they are more willing to take risks and share creative ideas. A compassionate work culture encourages open communication and collaboration, enabling teams to work together more effectively and solve problems with greater creativity. This sense of psychological safety, created by compassionate leaders, is essential for fostering a dynamic and innovative workplace. Furthermore, compassionate leadership contributes to a positive organizational reputation. Companies known for prioritizing employee well-being and inclusivity are more attractive to prospective talent and customers alike. Organizations that practice compassionate leadership build a strong brand identity and are often seen as ethical and socially responsible. Conclusion: the transformative power of compassionate leadership. Compassionate leadership is not merely a leadership style, it's a philosophy that redefines power and authority by placing human connection and empathy at the forefront. Leaders like Jacinda Ardern, Satya Nadella, and Howard Schultz demonstrate that compassionate leadership strengthens organizations by fostering loyalty, resilience, and innovation. This approach builds workplaces where individuals feel valued and inspired to contribute their best. In a world that often demands efficiency and results, compassionate leadership reminds us that true success lies in caring for and empowering people. By leading with compassion, leaders not only achieve organizational goals but also create a legacy of positive impact, transforming both their teams and the broader community. Social justice and compassion: the power of collective empathy. Compassion is often seen as a personal quality, rooted in how we treat ourselves and those closest to us. However, true compassion extends beyond individual relationships and encompasses a larger commitment to social justice. Social justice, at its core, is about creating an equitable society where all individuals, regardless of their background, have equal rights, opportunities, and dignity. Collective empathy: the shared, collective sense of compassion for those who suffer, is the driving force behind movements for equality and human rights. When compassion moves beyond the individual and motivates social action, it has the potential to bring transformative change by inspiring communities to stand up against systemic injustice, not only for themselves but for those who are marginalized or oppressed. In a world marked by inequality, systemic discrimination, and social struggles, collective empathy encourages individuals to consider the experiences of others, fostering a society that values inclusivity, equality, and shared responsibility. Compassion in the context of social justice means recognizing that many people face challenges not of their own making and understanding that a society's strength is measured by its commitment to uplifting its most vulnerable members. This approach calls for empathy not only toward people we know personally but also toward strangers facing hardships we may not fully understand. Social justice, fueled by compassion, creates a ripple effect that transforms communities and uplifts humanity as a whole. Example: Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement. One of the most powerful examples of compassion in the fight for social justice is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his leadership in the Civil Rights Movement. King's vision for an equitable society was deeply rooted in compassion, empathy, and a profound sense of justice. He dreamed of a society where people would not be judged by the color of their skin but by the content of their character, a vision that underscored his commitment to human dignity and equality. King believed in the power of nonviolent resistance as a means to achieve social justice and challenged both racial discrimination and the broader societal structures that upheld inequality. King's nonviolent approach was grounded in compassion, rather than fostering resentment or hatred. He chose to empathize even with those who opposed him, recognizing that systemic racism harmed everyone, including those who perpetuated it. This ability to extend empathy to opponents was both revolutionary and risky. By encouraging empathy across racial and social divides, King aimed to awaken the moral conscience of the nation and urge people to see the humanity in each other, regardless of race or status. His compassionate approach inspired individuals across racial and social lines to join the movement, creating a collective empathy that was crucial for the progress of civil rights in America. For example, during the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955, King led a protest against racial segregation on public transportation in Montgomery, Alabama. The boycott, which lasted over a year, required tremendous resilience and solidarity among African Americans who endured harassment and hardship as a result. King's compassion and dedication helped sustain the community's commitment to the cause, and his ability to empathize with all involved allowed him to maintain a message of peace and justice. King's leadership in the civil rights movement demonstrated that compassionate action, even in the face of hostility, could challenge oppressive systems and inspire societal transformation. Ways to practice compassion and social justice. Compassion-driven social justice requires more than good intentions. It demands action rooted in empathy, awareness, and a commitment to equality. Here are some meaningful ways to practice compassion in the realm of social justice. 1. Advocacy. Advocacy is one of the most effective ways to contribute to social justice through compassion. Compassionate advocacy means using your voice and platform to speak out for marginalized communities. This form of advocacy is grounded in listening to those directly affected by issues, understanding their needs, and amplifying their voices rather than speaking for them. Advocacy can take various forms, including lobbying for policy changes, supporting movements that address systemic issues, or using social media to raise awareness about critical social justice causes. Example: Greta Thunberg, the young Swedish climate activist, exemplifies compassionate advocacy. Although her primary focus is climate change, her activism is deeply rooted in compassion for future generations and for communities disproportionately affected by environmental degradation. Thunberg's advocacy extends beyond herself, focusing on the collective good. Her message emphasizes that climate change impacts everyone, particularly vulnerable communities, and she amplifies the voices of indigenous groups and young people who are most affected by environmental policies. Through her advocacy, Thunberg inspires others to act out of compassion for humanity and the planet, showing that collective empathy is essential for meaningful change. 2. Volunteer work. Volunteering is an act of compassion that directly impacts the lives of those in need. By offering time, skills, or resources, volunteers engage in hands-on social justice work that often fosters deep empathy and understanding. Volunteering allows individuals to witness firsthand the struggles that marginalized groups face, cultivating empathy and breaking down barriers that contribute to discrimination and inequality. Whether it's working in homeless shelters, helping in food distribution, or mentoring disadvantaged youth, volunteering connects people from different backgrounds and fosters a sense of shared humanity. Example: Angelina Jolie, actress and humanitarian, is known for her extensive volunteer work with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR. Over the years, she has worked directly with refugees in war-torn regions, bringing attention to their plight and advocating for their rights. Jolie's compassion and willingness to serve on the ground have not only impacted the lives of countless refugees but have also raised global awareness about the refugee crisis. Her volunteer work demonstrates how compassionate action can have a far-reaching effect, inspiring others to support displaced populations and promoting empathy across borders. 3. Education and awareness. Compassion in social justice starts with understanding the issues that people face. Educating oneself about social justice issues is an essential step toward meaningful empathy and informed action. By seeking to understand the historical, economic, and social factors that contribute to inequality, individuals can develop a more nuanced perspective and become effective advocates for change. Education fosters awareness and empathy, enabling people to recognize and challenge their own biases while gaining insight into the lived experiences of marginalized communities. Example: Malala Yousafzai, Nobel Peace Prize laureate and education activist, embodies the transformative power of compassion rooted in education. After surviving an assassination attempt by the Taliban, who opposed her efforts to promote girls' education, Malala has dedicated her life to advocating for the educational rights of girls worldwide. Her story has inspired millions to take action for gender equality and education. By sharing her experiences, Malala educates others about the barriers that many girls face and mobilizes people to support her cause. Her work demonstrates how compassion, combined with education, can spark global movements for social justice. The role of collective empathy in social change. Collective empathy is essential for building movements that transcend individual interests and unite people in pursuit of justice and equality. Empathy bridges divides, fostering a sense of common humanity that makes social justice possible. When communities practice collective empathy, they create a foundation of mutual respect, trust, and solidarity. This shared compassion strengthens the movement. As people from diverse backgrounds come together to advocate for systemic change. For example, the #MeToo movement is rooted in collective empathy and has empowered people worldwide to speak out against sexual harassment and abuse. By sharing their stories, survivors have fostered a sense of solidarity that extends across gender, race, and social status. This collective empathy has led to significant changes in workplace policies, brought accountability to powerful individuals, and sparked global conversations about consent and gender equality. The movement highlights the power of shared compassion to address systemic injustices, transforming individual experiences into a collective force for change. Compassion as a bridge across differences. In social justice, compassion is a bridge that enables individuals from different backgrounds to unite in the face of injustice. Compassionate movements embrace diversity and seek common ground, recognizing that while people may have different experiences, they share a universal desire for dignity, fairness, and respect. By fostering empathy and open-mindedness, compassion helps break down the walls of prejudice and allows people to see each other's humanity. Example: Pope Francis has been an advocate for social justice and compassion, particularly for marginalized groups. His outreach to refugees, prisoners, and impoverished communities emphasizes the need for empathy across all social and economic divides. Pope Francis often speaks about the importance of caring for the vulnerable and has called for compassion in addressing issues like poverty, climate change, and inequality. By emphasizing compassion as a core value, Pope Francis appeals to a global audience, uniting people of diverse faiths and backgrounds in the pursuit of justice and dignity for all. Compassionate activism and its challenges. While compassionate activism can be powerful, it also comes with challenges. Engaging in social justice work requires resilience, as it involves confronting harsh realities and often facing opposition. Compassionate activists may experience compassion fatigue, a state of emotional exhaustion caused by the stress of caring for others. To maintain their commitment, activists must practice self-compassion, set boundaries, and seek support from their communities. Example: Brian Stevenson, founder of the Equal Justice Initiative (EJI) and author of Just Mercy, has dedicated his life to advocating for marginalized individuals, particularly those on death row. His work involves confronting deeply entrenched systemic racism and inequality within the criminal justice system. Stevenson has faced numerous challenges, including threats and resistance. However, he remains motivated by compassion for the individuals he serves, reminding himself that his work is about restoring human dignity. Stevenson's resilience in the face of adversity exemplifies how compassionate activism can drive social change, even when the road is difficult. The transformative impact of compassionate social justice. Compassion-driven social justice has the power to create lasting societal change. When people act out of compassion for others, they create an inclusive environment that respects and values every individual. Compassionate social justice does not only focus on addressing immediate issues but also aims to dismantle the structures that perpetuate compassion and mental health, healing from within. Compassion is a crucial component of mental health and well-being. For many, mental health struggles such as depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem are compounded by internal narratives of self-criticism and lack of self-compassion. When we constantly judge ourselves, we reinforce feelings of inadequacy, which worsens our mental state and traps us in a cycle of negativity. However, by practicing compassion, especially self-compassion, we can create a nurturing internal environment that promotes healing, resilience, and emotional stability. Embracing compassion allows us to soften our inner dialogue, fostering an attitude of kindness and understanding that can significantly alleviate symptoms of mental distress. Self-compassion involves treating ourselves as we would a close friend, especially during difficult times. This does not mean ignoring mistakes or avoiding personal growth, but rather approaching our challenges with a sense of understanding rather than harsh judgment. When we adopt this mindset, we reduce the emotional burden we carry, making it easier to cope with life's challenges. In recent years, mental health professionals and researchers have increasingly recognized the value of compassion-based approaches to mental health. By learning to offer ourselves empathy and acceptance, we cultivate inner strength, better mental health, and an overall more positive outlook on life. Scientific studies on compassion and mental health. The impact of compassion on mental health has been extensively studied, with findings showing that self-compassion can lead to significant improvements in well-being. Research indicates that self-compassion reduces symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress by helping individuals manage negative emotions in a healthier way. When people practice self-compassion, they are less likely to ruminate on failures or become overwhelmed by setbacks. Instead, they view these experiences as part of the broader human condition, understanding that everyone faces challenges and makes mistakes. One notable study conducted at Stanford University's Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education, CARE, explored the effects of compassion-focused interventions on mental health. The study found that individuals who practiced self-compassion reported lower levels of shame, self-criticism, and feelings of inadequacy. Compassion-focused therapy, CFT, which specifically targets self-criticism and encourages compassionate self-talk, was shown to be particularly effective for individuals dealing with anxiety and depressive disorders. By shifting their focus from self-judgment to self-compassion, participants experienced a greater sense of emotional relief and resilience. Another study from the University of Texas at Austin showed similar findings. Researchers discovered that individuals with higher levels of self-compassion had better overall mental health, with lower levels of anxiety and depression. The study suggested that self-compassion acts as a buffer against negative emotions, allowing individuals to process their feelings in a constructive way rather than getting trapped in cycles of guilt and shame. These studies highlight that compassion is not just a vague, feel-good concept but a powerful therapeutic tool that can improve mental health outcomes by fostering acceptance, reducing self-criticism, and promoting emotional resilience. Practical tips for using compassion to support mental health. While self-compassion might come naturally to some, it is a skill that most people need to practice and cultivate. Incorporating compassion-focused practices into daily life can make a significant difference in one's mental health and overall outlook. Here are some practical techniques to help develop compassion and harness its healing power. Number 1. Daily affirmations. Daily affirmations are a simple yet powerful way to cultivate self-compassion. Beginning the day with positive affirmations reinforces the idea that we are worthy of kindness and understanding. Repeating phrases such as "I am enough," "I am worthy of love," or "I am deserving of kindness" helps create a positive self-view that counters the inner critic. These affirmations act as reminders to treat ourselves with care, even in moments of failure or self-doubt. Example: Lady Gaga, an influential pop star and advocate for mental health awareness, has often spoken about the role of affirmations in her personal journey towards self-acceptance. She practices affirmations to counteract her inner critic and has publicly encouraged others to use this technique as a way to foster self-compassion. Lady Gaga's openness about her struggles with anxiety and depression has inspired many people to use affirmations to boost their mental well-being. 2. Compassionate breathing exercises. Breathing exercises focused on compassion can have a calming effect on the mind and body. When anxiety or negative thoughts arise, simple breathing exercises can help restore a sense of calm. One effective technique is to inhale slowly while visualizing compassionate thoughts and exhale while releasing negative emotions. Focusing on compassion as you breathe helps center your mind and reminds you to treat yourself with kindness. This practice reduces anxiety and fosters a sense of peace, making it easier to face challenges with resilience. Example: Emma Stone, an Oscar-winning actress, has openly discussed her struggles with anxiety and how she uses breathing exercises to manage stress. Stone has said that mindful breathing helps her ground herself in the present and maintain a compassionate attitude toward her own feelings. By incorporating breathing exercises into her routine, Stone demonstrates how simple acts of self-care can contribute to mental resilience and well-being. 3. Acceptance practice. Acceptance is a foundational aspect of self-compassion. When we experience difficult emotions, our instinct might be to suppress them or judge ourselves for feeling a certain way. However, practicing acceptance allows us to acknowledge these feelings without adding layers of guilt or shame. Instead of pushing away uncomfortable emotions, we can treat them with compassion, recognizing that it's normal to experience ups and downs. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation, rather, it means acknowledging our current state and responding to it with empathy. Example: Michelle Obama, former First Lady of the United States, has often spoken about her journey with self-acceptance. She has acknowledged the pressures of public life and the internal struggles that came with constantly being scrutinized. Instead of allowing these pressures to undermine her self-worth, Obama embraced acceptance and self-compassion, viewing her experiences as learning opportunities. Her approach has inspired many to adopt acceptance as a way to cultivate mental resilience. 4. Self-compassion meditation. Meditation focused on self-compassion involves visualizing feelings of warmth and kindness toward oneself. This practice often begins with a simple phrase like, "May I be kind to myself," or "May I accept myself as I am." Self-compassion meditation encourages individuals to embrace their imperfections and offer themselves understanding during difficult times. This type of meditation has been shown to increase emotional resilience and reduce stress, making it a powerful tool for mental health. Example: Oprah Winfrey, one of the world's most influential figures, regularly practices and promotes meditation. She believes that self-compassion meditation has allowed her to cultivate inner peace and resilience, which have been essential in her journey of self-discovery. Winfrey's advocacy for mindfulness and meditation highlights the value of self-compassion as a transformative mental health practice. 5. Reframing negative thoughts. Reframing negative thoughts is an effective way to practice self-compassion and improve mental health. When self-critical thoughts arise, try to reframe them with kindness. For example, instead of thinking, "I failed," "I'm not good enough," try reframing it as, "I made a mistake, and that's okay. I can learn and improve." This shift in perspective allows for growth rather than judgment, fostering a compassionate and positive mindset. Example: British author and philanthropist J.K. Rowling is a powerful example of reframing negative thoughts. She has shared her struggles with depression and self-doubt, especially during the early stages of her career. Rowling has spoken about the importance of reframing failures as learning experiences rather than personal shortcomings. Her journey illustrates how shifting our perspective on setbacks can foster resilience and self-compassion, allowing us to keep moving forward. 6. Journaling with compassion. Journaling is a valuable tool for self-reflection and can be used to practice compassion. Instead of merely recording events, write about your experiences with a compassionate perspective. Use journaling as a way to express understanding toward yourself, especially when reflecting on challenging situations. This practice helps reframe negative experiences and reinforces a compassionate outlook, providing emotional relief and insight. Example: pop icon Taylor Swift has often shared how journaling helps her process emotions and reflect on her experiences with compassion. Through her music and public discussions, she has encouraged fans to journal as a way to connect with their feelings and offer themselves understanding. Swift's approach to journaling demonstrates how compassionate self-reflection can contribute to mental resilience and personal growth. 7. Setting boundaries and practicing self-care. Self-compassion includes setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care. Recognizing one's limits and taking time for self-care are crucial for mental health. Boundaries protect our well-being by allowing us to manage stress and prevent burnout. Practicing self-care, whether through rest, exercise, hobbies, or connecting with loved ones, reinforces the message that we deserve to take care of ourselves. Example: Beyoncé, a global superstar known for her work ethic, has spoken about the importance of self-care and setting boundaries. She has emphasized the need to protect her mental health by balancing her career with time for family and personal well-being. Beyoncé's commitment to self-care serves as an example of how even the most driven individuals benefit from setting boundaries and prioritizing compassion for oneself. The science behind compassion and mental resilience. Studies have shown that self-compassion positively impacts brain function, particularly in areas related to emotional regulation and resilience. Practicing self-compassion activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine and endorphins, which contribute to feelings of happiness and relaxation. Furthermore, research in neuroscience suggests that self-compassion reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, helping individuals respond to stress with calmness rather than anxiety. According to a study published in Clinical Psychology Review, individuals with higher levels of self-compassion show greater mental resilience and a lower risk of mental health disorders. This finding underscores the importance of compassion in maintaining mental well-being and highlights that compassion is not only beneficial in the short term but also has lasting impacts on emotional resilience. The role of self-compassion in long-term healing. Self-compassion is more than a temporary remedy for distress, it is a pathway to long-term healing. By practicing compassion consistently, individuals cultivate a mindset that is more adaptable and resilient. Over time, self-compassion can reshape how we approach life's challenges, helping us respond to adversity with patience and empathy rather than frustration or self-blame. Through compassion, we build a foundation for sustained mental health that protects against future struggles. Whether dealing with difficult emotions, recovering from trauma, or managing day-to-day stressors, self-compassion serves as an anchor that fosters strength, peace, and healing from within. Compassion, ultimately, is not just a tool for coping with mental health issues, it is a transformative practice that helps us build a nurturing relationship with ourselves, promoting a life of resilience, balance, and well-being. Compassion as a catalyst for global change. Compassion extends beyond individuals and has the power to inspire global movements. Compassionate actions, when multiplied across communities, can create transformative social and political change. In a world filled with division, practicing compassion fosters unity and promotes human dignity. Global example: Mother Teresa, founder of the Missionaries of Charity, dedicated her life to serving the poor and marginalized. Her compassion and commitment to alleviating suffering inspired people worldwide to take action in their own communities. Mother Teresa's legacy reminds us that compassion can be a powerful force for change, uniting people across cultures and encouraging a shared sense of humanity. Mother Teresa's work teaches us that compassion transcends boundaries and can be a catalyst for profound positive change, both locally and globally. Her life's work demonstrates that compassion is not limited to individual interactions, it's a powerful tool for building a more just and empathetic world. Conclusion: embracing compassion as a way of life. Compassion is more than a feeling, it's a way of being that shapes how we interact with ourselves, others, and the world. By practicing compassion in daily life, we build resilience, foster understanding, and contribute to a more connected and harmonious world. From the individual acts of kindness to global movements for change, compassion has the potential to transform lives and create a world rooted in empathy and mutual respect. As we integrate compassion into our lives, let's remember the power it holds to bring light to the darkest situations, bridge divides, and create lasting peace within ourselves and with others. Embracing compassion as a way of life allows us to experience deeper fulfillment, resilience, and a sense of unity with the world around us.